What's up, everyone? We've got another awesome episode of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Show, and look, the legend himself is back. He's graced off of his presence again. Introduce yourself, please, bro.
Hello, guys. Thanks for having me. I'm Winter Kills. Been making YouTube content for almost 10 years.
My gosh.
Sheesh.
10 years. Guys, if you don't know, look, if you're a Yu-Gi-Oh! Show veteran, you'll know that Winter was our first guest. Absolute legend. We had an awesome episode. We did a meta tier list as well. I remember back in the day when we did that episode. It was such a good episode. So yeah, really huge thanks to you to coming back on again, bro. And yeah, we're like 20 something episodes deep, so we haven't given up yet. Fingers crossed we'll keep going. But to start off with, bro, give us a bit of an intro. For those who haven't heard the Winter story yet, give us an intro into you getting on YouTube and getting into Yu-Gi-Oh! And such.
Yeah, so the too long didn't read abbreviation of it. I started back in like 2014. Much like how anybody would get back into Yu-Gi-Oh! You kind of dig up your old cards and you're like, oh damn, this is pretty cool, and then you catch up with it online, watch some YouTube videos, you go to the store, you're buying product, you see all the new cards, and then you get sucked right back into it. And I was making videos on my phone when they were way worse quality than they are now today, but stacking my phone up on tins of cards to try to get the top-down angle to record stuff. I still
get those set up, man.
Yeah, some of my oldest videos, you can see they're pretty wild. You can tell how old they are, but and I've just been sticking through it, recording locals, and just day in and day out through the years, and here we are, just doing what we've been doing.
Yeah, man.
So, like, one thing I wanted to ask you in particular, like, for anyone who doesn't know, like, a big part of your channel is the cinematography, like, your vlog videos. Like, I remember a lot of those that watching thinking, this is, like, such a step up. The one deck 1 month as well. So, like, obviously you mentioned like you started like with the real Bobby Basic setup. So like, how did you kind of progress to going to like that to like the super like high quality like vlog material? Was it like a natural transition, or was it you woke up one day and you're like, yeah, vlogging's dope, I want to do this like with Yu-Gi-Oh?
I mean, yeah, it was. I would say it was a very like gradual transition over the years because, I mean, I've always been a stickler for like having the best. Like I always want to have. If I'm doing something as is and it's only okay and there's something I can get to that's better, I always want to go bigger and go better. So it always was like, because this was like 10 years ago. So I was like, I want to, I'd ask my parents, can I get this camera, right? So a camcorder, right? Upgrade the quality and then buy editing software and all that stuff. And then get even like actual like cameras, like camcorders, like real professional, like grade camcorders, like DSLR cameras, and keep upgrading there. And then eventually, once you get to the point you have like the higher quality gear, you can only do so much of that until you learn like tricks to do with the camera, like camera moves, editing tricks to like make everything look really cinematic, which a lot of that inspiration came from I feel like my love for photography, and a lot of vlog channels that I would watch on YouTube are like Peter McKinnon and Casey Neistat and Maddie Hapoya. They have a very like unique style, and I kind of took from that and tried to implement their styles into my own video, and it kind of just comes out in the way that it did. So I owe a lot of that style and that all the slow motion stuff, the B-roll, the transitions, and all that. I owe that to those guys for being a big inspiration.
Wow, yeah, and I never thought of it, but yeah, I feel like that mentality to kind of take stuff from those kind of YouTubers and kind of put it in the YouTube world, even that was like a step up, because genuinely, again, just like Dan said, the one I'll never forget, I can't remember specific what profile it was, but I remember you did this sick thing that was like, you were like throwing the cards, I think it was actually DDD, and you were like throwing the cards at the camera and stuff, and it's like you came down, I was like, this is mad, like this all just looks so awesome. And it's like, I've seen bits and bobs of that elsewhere, but the way you did it, and like even for example taking advantage of the fact that you've got cards to use, like, levels, bro, levels. I swear, I was like, this is solid. Yeah, definitely. And
lot of fun doing that.
Yeah, and I think in addition to that as well, one thing that you really do like awesome on your channel, which makes it, I know for me it makes it very easy to watch, is you have loads of series. I feel like you get into the series well, and it's just yeah, like one deck, 1 month, like you'll see a deck and it's like, oh, Winter's on this, and then it's like I know as well, like, okay, you know what, I've got content for the next month because he's gonna be on. If I was someone who liked Photon Galaxy, I would be like, yeah. I've got Photon content for the next month. I know it's coming, but I'm not saying this is so. I don't actually hate Photon. I'm just saying if I if I happen to be someone who really liked it,
the backtracking.
You put the disclaimer in there early.
Yeah. You should have heard him before he started recording. Yo,
I was getting
shit.
you know, funnily enough, my best mate loves Photon. So when I used to play Yu-Gi-Oh, when I was like, I'm saying when I was like mad, when I was like 16, yeah, it's not like I was kid. My best mate, Photon was what he used to play, and I actually told him, I was like, Photon just got new support. I was like, everyone's talking about it. I was like, you need to. This is, if you were gonna come back to Yu-Gi-Oh, this would be the time. So yeah, it will be interesting to see if I can get him to actually come on and try some of the new Photon cards.
Definitely,
Yeah.
man, definitely.
I noticed on your sub post, your community post, sorry, on YouTube, that you like to take photos and that. But what else kind of like keeps you focused on like producing your quality content? Because you put out a lot of content. I'm talking like dual videos that are highly edited. Obviously, your 1 deck 1 month series. So like, what keeps you kind of like a foot in the game, basically, to just keep producing content the way that you do?
Honestly, it's just like kind of just like a bet on myself, whether or not I can like succeed doing it and like prove people wrong that don't really think that it's like a career that's like something that could be successful, and just trying to like hold myself accountable to like making like good stuff. Like I don't want to like put out like videos that can just be made like that and just throw them up with no editing. Like I always want to come up with something that's like unique and just try to like keep it as consistent as possible. But like, yeah, over like I think I've got like over 2,000 videos on my channel.
Wow.
And like sometimes
Mad.
it does get a little exhausting, like creatively wise. Like the well kind of runs dry occasionally, so like I'm not immune to that. So sometimes it does like get easy to want to stop, and sometimes I do. Sometimes I won't upload for a couple days, even like a week or so, and I'm just
Okay.
trying to figure out something to like, you know, something good to put out that's going to be worth like people's time to watch. And then like you said earlier with all the series and stuff, like I always want to have a variety of stuff on the channel. I don't want, because like the feature matches are something that I've been doing literally since my channel started. I went from like recording them in my kitchen to now at my locals. So like I didn't want to be the guy that only posted one type of video every day, year in and year out. I wanted to have like variety, so when people come to the channel, there's a whole bunch of different things that they can try to get into, and instead of it just being one thing that kind of gets stale and old over the years, I wanted to like, you know, mix it in with a bunch of things to keep it interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense.
Alright,
Oh, sorry, I thought you were about to say. Yeah,
No, just
the other thing as well is in terms of actually producing the content. So, are you still like kind of doing this all by yourself? Do you have a team? Because Andre brings a really big point. That's a mad amount of stuff to be doing by yourself, bro. Like,
Yeah, it definitely is.
gosh.
So, is YouTube essentially like what takes up the majority of your time then, in terms of
Yeah.
like time management and stuff like that?
Absolutely, yeah.
That's mad. So like, are there any ever times where you think like get kind not? I don't think getting worn down is like the right phrase, but like do you ever worry about like your work rate and things like that? Do you ever worry about like making I suppose the pressures you put on yourself, really? Do you ever feel anything like that, or is it just a case of now I'm in this sort of mojo and I'm just going to carry on with it?
Yeah, no, I mean, I definitely have those moments where like
Mm.
I don't want to do it, like because sometimes like I'm always afraid of getting it to the point where doing doing this as a career or whatever like starts to feel like something that is like I don't know what the proper word is, but it's something that's like not fun to do, right? Or like it
Yeah.
feels more like a chore. And I want there to be passion with everything, because I know when I'm really passionate into a deck or a format, like, and I'm sure a lot of my viewers can sense that. Like if I'm like when I was playing Block BA, like there's countless, like I put out tons of content for that deck. When I was playing Rika, or like when I play Speedroid, like I put out tons of detailed content like over that deck, and like that, like when I'm in that mode, I can tell like I really like this, but and I want to keep posting stuff day in and day out. I'm looking for like new things to post. But there are definitely times, like especially when I've been doing it as long as I have, where like there are days, like with tier format recently, like every deck that I loved could not compete. The format was just in such a way where I just genuinely didn't like playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And I thought to myself many times, like, do I just literally sit this format out and like coast essentially, like upload my 4 feature matches every week because like I'll just go to locals and play and record and just like coast like that, or just stop uploading entirely, which is not a feasible option because you gotta pay the bills and stuff. But yeah, there's definitely, it's an ebb and flow, right? You have moments where you don't really want to do it, and I think that's natural. I think you shouldn't force yourself to make stuff when you really don't, when the drive isn't there. But when you have that the passion for it, I always try to get as much out of it as I can for however long it lasts.
So in terms of like you've mentioned decks like the Rika and the Block PA, decks that you really loved. Like, has there ever been like a deck that you took to the channel, like tried to make some content around, and just thought, man, like I just don't like this deck as much as I thought I did, like, and you just kind of just push that off to the wayside? Have there ever been any decks that have been like that for you?
There might have been. I'd have to go back and.
Nothing that sticks out, really.
Nothing that sticks out offhand. Maybe Crusadia is a deck that I got so into that deck, and I was like playing it nonstop. I loved how it could OTK, and then it just like instantly got old, and then I just like never touched it again. I don't think I've touched the archetype in like probably 4+ years or something like that. So that's maybe one of them, but that's probably a stretch.
Fair enough.
Gosh, I remember Crusader. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever played against Crusader ever.
I mean,
it's funny you say that because I think my first ever like locals top quote unquote was with like Crusader Mech Knight list, and it was inspired by yourself, Winter, and it was literally just that. It was just go second and just OTK, and it did me well.
Yeah.
But it's still to this day one of my favorite decks. But like, what would you consider to be like some of your favorite decks, or you got a particular list?
Yeah, I definitely got a list. I think my one friend, my good friend Colin, asked us this the other week. He's like, if you guys like pick 3 of your favorite decks, he's like super serious about it. So I had to think long and hard about it. But I would definitely. I can't really put them in any order because I just can't. But like top 5, I'd probably have to say Speedroid is definitely in the top 5.
Yeah.
Mermail is definitely in the top 5. Block Dragon Burning Abyss is definitely in the top 5. And Photon Galaxy I'd probably have to put up there, even though I have some mixed feelings about it. And maybe like Earth Machine also in the top 5. And honorable mention would probably like to Marincess, I think, and I'm probably forgetting some other decks, but those are like my
that's quite a varied list, to be fair. Like, I mean, there's similarities amongst the decks, but like it really shows that you're not sort of like a one-trick kind of player. Like, there's not really like, yeah, I'm a combo player or a control player or whatever. But that question about the 3 favorite decks, I'm going to come back to that for Fabs and Jimothy at the end of the show, because that's not something we've ever really talked about. So I'll give you guys a bit of time to think about that. So one of the things I wanted to ask you in particular, Winter, because we're going back a little bit now, but I remember one of these series, or like one of the vlogs, I'm not sure if it was meant to be a series or not, was when you took the Shaddoll deck to locals and you made like a super detailed 40-minute vlog on it. And I thought, this is so cool. Like, obviously, like I, like everyone else, was looking at picking up Shaddoll. And that was probably the video that put me onto your channel. And then, like, obviously COVID happened, like a lot of vlog content, like in particular, I noticed, not even across Yu-Gi-Oh, like across it, like YouTube as a whole, really started to sort of change up the way it was working. And people would do different things to try and keep the content sort of the same, but obviously with that different flavor. So talk to us a little bit about, did you find, like, during the COVID lockdown periods that like you kind of got like a blow up in the chat in your channel? Because I know that a lot of people we spoke to have. Or was it a case of you're like, okay, I need to really flip my content on its head and figure out how I'm going to keep the channel sustainable?
Yeah, that's a good question, because I think about that a lot, actually. And that vlog specifically, I remember, I think that was like right around the time when I started doing those types of things. And I remember like late 2019, I did a couple like one-off vlogs with like Block BA, and I was really experimenting doing that kind of style, because I'm not a super outgoing person. Like I'm kind of shy out in public. So like filming myself with like a big camera was like something I didn't really want to expose myself to. So I started getting into it, but right when COVID hit, man, like I would say like the COVID period from 2020 to 2021 was probably some of the worst performance that my channel's ever seen. I think late 2019 my channel was like on a huge upward trend, and then for the next like 2 years or so, my channel is not doing well at all, and it's still honestly coming out of that. I would say even now here in the first quarter of 2023, but it did a number to my channel for sure, definitely. And I'm glad for the people that had the opportunity to have their channels do really well in that time period. But my channel I don't think was definitely one of those. Definitely was more of a negative thing.
That seems like such an anomaly. That seems like such an anomaly to say, because I don't think you're the first creator I think we've spoken to who's actually said, yeah, during COVID, like it was a hard time for the channel. Like, not that obviously it was easy for anyone with a YouTube channel, but when you think back on it, is there anything you think that you'd attribute to that, or do you think it was just a case of you like just getting a little bit unlucky?
Maybe it was a bit of bad luck. My content definitely had to change because I couldn't go to locals to film feature matches, so that was probably one of the biggest changes, and having to like pivot off of that really quickly and try to like constantly come up with ideas out of thin air sometimes, like videos that I could film right at home and film them like consistently. So that's probably where some series spawned. Like I had this like top replays and highlights series. I remember I used to do that, and like I had to start, like I said, just pulling things out of thin air that could replace that slot of the feature matches, which I think is like one of the most popular things on my channel. Has been such a center stone of my channel for so many years. So trying to find what was working and try to cover those losses was definitely tough. So I would probably say it was probably a little bit of bad luck, and then just not having access to the places that I would film the content that was doing super well before, like the vlogs, the feature matches. Having all that completely ripped out from underneath me kind of left me scrambling to like get content up in place of it. And I think just that probably hurt my views, my sub growth, all that stuff. People probably weren't watching my channel as much, and then as time goes on and I was slowly able to integrate that more and more, that probably helped put it on the upward trend if I had to guess, but who knows.
I think that's actually so interesting, because from the perspective of a viewer, for example, it's not noticeable, and I think that does speak to your work ethic, because from my perspective it didn't seem like that. Like if you had told me that you had a bit of a lull, if you had told me that it wasn't feeling like it was working, it didn't seem like, it just seemed like winter as usual. But it's so interesting to see behind the scenes that maybe it's it's not feeling as good, but then so I feel like what would you say is the thing that pushes you, other than outside, I guess, the obvious, which is, you got to pay the bills, but really, what is it that makes you keep doing it? Because I know if I use myself as an example, last format, I didn't like the game. I was in a lot of things happening in my life, and I was just like, you know what, forget this YouTube thing. I wasn't doing much. So it's like, what is it that makes you not do that and just kind of still carry on push in spite of that?
I mean, it's really like, it's still like a genuine love and passion for Yu-Gi-Oh! Like if I didn't have that, I would be very hard pressed to keep doing what I'm doing now. I'd definitely pivot harder into other things, like other hobbies that I want to turn into careers, like photography and stuff like that. I would probably say that, like, first and foremost, it's probably just the game, honestly, and like this channel has been such a huge part of my life for so many years that it's not something that I want to just give up that easily without a really strong reason to give it up, or to put it to the side, or to pay less attention to it, because I feel like I owe it to the people that have supported me over the years, that they've given me so much. They've given me so many opportunities. Playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Has taken me to some amazing places, has allowed me to meet some of my absolute best friends ever. Amazing community here in Buffalo. Like, wouldn't trade it for anything. So I think that's definitely a huge part of it. For sure, definitely would be that.
Yeah, and I think that's quite cool, actually. Yeah, just having that obligation to your fans as well as Yeah, I didn't think like that, but yeah, it's like that. Again, I'm saying that someone who's watching your videos, yeah, it would be a shame if one day it's like, yeah, there's no winter video. I think I'd be like, oh no,
Yeah.
what's the plan? But I guess let's go on. Let's I wanna go back to what Dan brought up before in terms of favorite decks, and I'm actually gonna bounce it back for you to start, Dan. What is your favorite
Okay.
deck, bro?
So, in terms of, I think like Winter said, it would be hard for me to pick one favorite. There are decks that are like really stick out in my mind for a lot of reasons. Like I have a special place in my heart for Blue Eyes because it was the first deck that I ever picked up and like actually played at quote unquote full competitive power. So that's such an oxymoron. I'd be lying if I said I didn't think that Sky Strikers was one of my favorite decks, just because it was the very first competitive deck I ever picked up. I played the deck on and off for so long. It really taught me so much about the game and like how to be a control player and everything like that. Thunder Dragon as well was a deck that I really liked. Like I was a big fan of like Eternal format until like Dingirsu was printed. But I wouldn't say they're like in my favorite decks to play. I think one of my favorite decks to play like ever is probably Crystal Beast. Like because it's so fun. Like it's got that anime nostalgia. It's not shit, like which it used to be, which is cool. And you can play cool cards like field spells in it and shit. I think as well. I really do like Sword Soul, because again, like the format that we were in last year, just before Poke came out. That's a format that I also like really enjoyed playing. I had a lot of competitive
Dimension Force format. Like around
yeah,
there?
like just like Dimension Force format, like with the Punk deck, and
That was a good format. Apart from Scythe,
yeah,
that was
it really
a good
was.
format.
The branded structure deck just came out. Protoss had
Yeah, I
been
like that
banned,
a lot.
so Sword Soul was like fair. Adamantipator as well. COVID format was really big for me because obviously I was sitting inside playing, like learning Adamantipator combos on fucking DB like everyone else. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've got nothing to do. I might as well try and resolve Block Dragon.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe that was a card. I still can't believe.
Really, actually
Bring it back.
insane.
Oh wait, I genuinely feel like if Block Dragon Adamant, sorry to take over, if I genuinely don't feel like if Block Dragon Adamantipator was like a thing, like actually had a chance to be a format, that would have torn up. Like I could see that potentially being a tier 1 or tier 0 deck. That was ridiculous.
100%.
What the heck was that deck? Like yeah, just
Do you know what? I think favorite deck of all time. I'd actually have to put Adamantipator. I'm sure that we've had this conversation before, but I love it so much. Like, and it for regular listeners of the channel, you'll know that I hate high rarity cards, but Adamantipator is a deck I would actually get in max rarity. Like, so if you know me in real life, then that's saying a lot. So yeah, probably Adamant in no particular order. I'll probably say Adamantipator, Crystal Beast, and probably Sword Soul. Jimothy, you're a man who's played a lot of decks. So what are you saying?
So probably my favorite deck and one that I always go back to, in any kind of format is Plunder Patrol. But it's kind of taught me a little bit like about myself really, because I like control combo decks, which
A mid-range
is
sort of
quote
thing.
unquote mid range, but then. Like, I'm looking at the new Trap Trick structure deck, and I'm trying to work out if it is exactly that.
I think it is. I think it is,
I've seen someone like combo off way into Nibiru territory, and then still set like 2 or 3 back row, which which blows my mind. You know what I mean? But Patrol, just because it can OTK really quickly, as well as have a few back row, so that would be my number one deck that I'd lean to. But in honesty, the rest of the slots probably top 5. I would say I like Earth Machine. Just yeah, I really like Earth Machine. I like Heroes. I like decks that do a lot of damage very quickly, basically. And I think it's probably the boomer in me just putting a big monster on the board and hitting for a lot of damage, which is why I kind of like Galaxy.
I like that.
Yeah.
keep it
I can see
simple.
fans like twitching in the corner, like, but yeah. So decks that do a lot of damage, but also have a little bit of back row interaction, because I don't like going all out and then getting blown out by like a Dark Ruler, and then I'm just sitting there watching my board get broken. So yeah, that'll probably be me in that.
Yeah, man. Yeah, the funny thing is, if I think about it, I feel like almost every time I play against you, Jimothy, you have a different deck, bro. Every time it's like I never know what's about to happen. Like I just like, what's going on now? Like what do I even do? Like I just know it'll always be a different deck.
I feel like before we go into Fabs' favorites, I feel like me and Jimothy are like so opposite in terms of like how we like play. Because like I feel like I'm the kind of person who sticks to the deck until I literally can't fucking play it anymore. And then like Jimothy's like every time I see him, I'm like, oh, what you on? And he's like, oh, it's the new Spice, bro. Trust me. And he always ends up doing fucking well with it as well. So maybe I'm taking this Yu-Gi-Oh thing all wrong. Maybe I should. Maybe like choice paralysis isn't really a thing. But Fabs, go through, bro. What's your top?
I'm gonna start off with showing you guys something, and this is my favorite deck. Does change a lot, to be honest. I have some decks I like, but right now one of my favorite decks is clearly this Ashbait.
Oh, what a guy!
Yeah, and do you know why? Yeah, Alba's like, so my favorite type in Yu-Gi-Oh has always been fairies. I think fairies, all the fairy archetypes are quite cool, and I just like fairies in general. And so when Despia first came out, Dark Lords, obviously everyone knows Dark Lords, one of my favorite deck. And when I saw another Dark Fairy archetype come out, I was like, this is awesome. And then the storyline is just so cool. The artwork is epic, everything about it. Now, I'm not playing it right now because Ash Blossom is a card. And it rattles me every time I get Ashed in that deck. Now, I'm just like, no, I'm not doing it anymore. So I'm not playing it because it's like it stresses me out too much. But it definitely is one of my favorite decks. Another one is Ignista. I think Ignista is just so cool. Like, yeah, I remember when I first discovered it as well. I was like, "What? They have a monster just like unaffected by like everything, and it's like big." And yeah, I think Ignis is just really cool. I like as well the fact that all the monsters look like crayons, so that's funny as well to me. And then lastly, Drytron. Again, I like ritual decks. I like fairies. I like ritual decks, and I like. I'd say Drytron / Lyrilusk Tri Brigade before Simorg got banned. I like similar to Jimmy. It's like I don't want to get rattled by a Dark Ruler, but I like the fact that both of those decks essentially, if I full combo, there's nothing my opponent's doing. Where it's like, Vanity's Magic Key statue, Appaloosa, and it's just like you win. And it's the same with that Lyrilusk deck where it was like you had what was it, Oath in the grave, and then you had some Morg and everything. Yeah, I like those two decks were both. So like that's where I'm at. But I'm not playing those decks right now.
I think it's interesting that like. All of the decks that we've all said, like not a lot of them have like things in common when it comes to like aesthetics of the deck, like artwork and things like that. Because I hear a lot of people say like one of the reasons they love playing a deck is like the artwork. Obviously, that is a huge factor for like let's not lie about it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I thought it was interesting that like we all had such different picks.
Yeah.
Like so like what is it? Like, I'll put the question to you, Winter, as you're our guest. Like what is it that draws you to play a deck?
Oh, well, I mean, there's a lot. I mean, there is a lot and it isn't a lot. Like, I usually like to play, like, rogue decks more often, if I can help it. I don't know why. I just like playing, like, decks that, like, when I start playing them, people are like, what is he playing? Like I want to be the only person in the room on that deck kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But, on the other hand, I do like occasionally playing meta decks, like Sword Soul. I loved playing Sword Soul. The artwork was sick. I love synchro summoning, so like those two things just kind of went hand in hand. And it's a deck that can also go second like really easily and just like plow through any board. So like those are a couple of combinations, but it's not only just being like a unique deck that not many people are on, but like I like when decks have like cool like niche little interactions that are just like unique to that specific archetype. Like with the Rika Sun Avalon deck, shoutouts to Aerosol TCG for putting me on that deck. The one thing I thought was so cool about that, I remember I was in a Discord call with him, and I was playing Sword Soul against him, preparing for YCS Hartford, and he absolutely just bodied me with the deck. Like I was like, this should be an easy 2-0 sweep against this deck, but he literally just bodied me match after match. And like the fact that Con could like tribute your opponent's monsters, like Blade of Darkness, but for a combo deck. That like blew my mind, and I was like, "That's such a sick mechanic." I like that you contribute Rika Queen Strenna, and it becomes a bigger Xyz monster, and they're all plants and stuff, which is really cool. Although I don't like the Rika artwork that much. The Sun Avalon artwork is really cool, but like them all being plants is like super dope. The fact you can play a Lone Fire, that was cool. And then going to the Earth Machine deck, another thing that drew me to that deck was just like how efficient it was as like a combo. Like everything was one card combo. The artwork was cool. and it does have some like cool niche interactions, like River Stormer and Graveyard, like using Heavy Forward to attach. Like you can make Zeus with the Goliath, so it can't be destroyed by card effects. Like all these cool little things. Like Citadel is just like an absolute house. And Speedroid too. Another thing about the Speedroid deck was just like, I think what mainly drew me to it first was the super synchro heavy aspect of it.
Mhm.
But just like once it got the new support in the Legendary Duelist set, like with Fukimadoshi Piper, like that card is just insane. So like getting to resolve that card is just always so fun. Like niche interaction
yeah.
again, that's like unique to Speedroid specifically. The artwork looks great. Like I love Terror Top. It's like one of my favorite cards ever. Bring it back to 3. Kite Drake is insane. Like I just love summoning Kite Drake, and it's like they're all like little toys that like just murder you because they can just like do so much damage. Like, I just love that. Like I don't know, something like when you can summon a Rodon, you just summon a huge ass plane that summons a bunch of fucking tokens. Like cool, sign me up. Like
Yeah.
I don't know, it's just like weird shit like that. I don't know.
That's sick, man. That's
It's with Speedroid especially. Oh my gosh, that deck! I would love to play that deck, but that deck, it just seems too big brain, man. There's just so much going on. Like,
Sometimes, absolutely, yeah.
yeah,
You know-
Oh,
you know
sorry,
what?
go ahead,
Let me tell you about what I said, Winter, because I think that one of the things that I've noticed on the decks that you've chosen, they're a real thinking man's deck. A lot of them are. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So, do you think it's fair to say that you'd be like a combo player, like at heart, or is that like an unfair thing to say?
No, I would say I'm definitely more like the mid-range to combo. I don't think I've ever really played a control deck outside of... Let's see. I think the last actual... And I could be missing a deck that was more of a control deck, but...
Am I getting it confused? Or did you play the Buster Bladed Dragoon deck for a while?
I never played that deck, no.
Do you know?
Somebody
I
at my
think maybe
locals played it.
yeah, maybe that's what it is. Yeah, sorry, carry on.
But like true, like if we're talking like flipping up purple cards, like control level deck, I think the last deck that I played that was truly like that was, I want to say it was like a Malefic skill drain
Wow.
deck
That is good.
ages ago.
Wow.
Let's throwing it real back. Wow.
Yeah, that might have been it. Honestly, that's all I can think of off the top of my head. I don't remember the last time I played like a trap deck. Honestly, a super heavy control deck outside of that. That's really just like flip up skill drain, flip up macro, summon a big 4,000 beater, like just keep attack. Like what's it? Limit removal, like super fun and interactive. Like
yeah.
I think that's probably it, honestly. But yeah, I would say mid-range to control or mid-range to combo is probably more where I would lie on that spectrum, I guess.
Fair enough.
So then, what's your opinion on the current format in terms of like the decks you can play, and then kind of what's in the meta? How are you feeling about the current format at the moment? Are you like it? Well, I ask everyone this, and I'm going to keep doing it. And I'm doing it on purpose because I'm secretly adding tier, and I don't know if people have caught it yet. But so, do you prefer this format to last format? And then, what's your general opinions of this format?
I mean, it's like the lesser of the two evils. I know like people typically like the tier format better because like tier wasn't locking up all your zones, and now like you get rid of tier. Now you have Kashira, which is like not super fun interactive to play against. Where you could argue tier was, but for me, and it's different for everyone. For me personally, like the tier deck that everybody was playing with the Ishizu cards, like literally just made every single deck I like playing irrelevant.
Yeah.
And then the decks that everybody was choosing to play, or the side deck cards they were choosing to play, whether it be like Sprite or Flandreese, they were playing like D Shifter. Like everybody was siding D Shifter, and like different decks were working ways to play the Ishizu cards and their strategies, which was like a nightmare to play, like playing Marincess or playing Speedroid or playing Earth Machine or Rika, and into any of those Ishizu cards, like just felt awful. So like having those gone was great, and now we have this format, which I don't like, but I would rather take this format over the tier format, strictly because like Cashier might be the best, but like there are still things that are like I feel like on its playing field still, and Cashier has what I feel like are real counters, like multiple sets of real counters, whereas like if you don't D-shift or tier, they're probably still gonna win.
Yeah.
And even then, they might summon Bagooska and buy themselves a turn. But with like Cashier, like you drop a Nibiru on them, you're probably chilling. You drop a Book of Eclipse on them, you're good, right? Like there's a lot of granted they're not searchable, but there's a lot more ways to, I feel like, consistently beat the deck either game one or post side than there was here. So I would have to choose this form. You know, I'm not a fan of, you know, what happened on that feature match with Dominic Couch, like taking all that guy's zones, basically. That was terrible.
Yeah,
not a good look for Yu-Gi-Oh, but like I would choose this format over tier format.
100%, yeah, I definitely, and I think as well, one thing that a lot of people miss as well is that, like, yeah, I don't think anyone who prefers this format, I don't think there's anyone who prefers Kashtira specifically to tier, right? I think, am I safe in saying that? Is there anyone here at least who prefers Kashtira to tier? Because I don't think that's the case. I think it's the stuff surrounding it. Oh. Oh wait, a little bit of context, Winter, though, that Dan is a Runic player.
No, let's not get twisted. I was a Runic player. I got my top with it, and I don't play the deck anymore. Let's not, you know. Bro, it was an easy win. What can I say? But yeah, I'm not a Runic player anymore. Fabs. I've seen the light. I'm on wax now.
You know, the funny thing is, I think Runic actually has a lot of potential this format. I think just having that much utility in one deck is always going to be an awesome thing, and so.
Oh yeah. It's just Mystic Mind. It's the new Mystic Mind deck.
Yeah, and everyone's playing. I think twice this week, someone's used Messenger of Peace against me on DB, and I was just like, oh my gosh, what the heck? Like, I wasn't prepared for it. You're right, I didn't have the out.
Yeah.
Just draw the out in it. Nah,
Yeah.
Do you know what it is, bro? I'm gonna hit everyone with a hot take here. I actually think Cash is fine. I think the Diabolsis needs to be banned. I think the Mind Hacker is a horrible card, but because people are pivoting to just playing a Rise Heart Turbo now, right? Because they want to play around Nibiru, Book of Eclipse, what have you. And a Rise Heart's a scary boss monster, but is it any scarier than any other boss monster that we've had before?
Yeah, it's just like Dark Law, basically, just bigger Dark Law.
Mm-hmm. Like zone locking shit. Like there's no two ways about it. But maybe I'm just living in like a nice little. Maybe I'm just living under a rock, and maybe I'm just not really in tune with the real competitive world as much as I should be. But I've never seen anyone get zone locked for 10 zones other than that feature match.
No, I would say like.
I'm saying it doesn't happen, but
not often.
It seems bare greedy.
Yeah, like I would say like a Rise Heart, I agree. A Rise Heart itself is not like some cracked thing. It is definitely Diablosis is the problem. Yeah, I fully agree with that. I think though what I don't like though, in general about the whole Kashtira archetype is banishing my deck face down before I've got to play it frustrates me. And again, that is mainly from Diablosis, but that's my problem. It just even the fact that I have to change how I build my extract now because Kashtira might be able to just punish me for existing.
That's the most annoying thing for sure.
Isn't it? Like,
yeah.
Sorry, Winter, go on.
No, I was just quickly saying like that's the most annoying thing about the Kashtira deck is like anytime there's a deck in the format that forces you to change deck building to like putting 2 cards in your extra deck you can't play one of is like I hate that.
Yeah, bro. I'm playing 2 Arrival right now in my Ignista deck because I have to. If I don't, I get punished by Kashtira. It's quite sad. But it's quite frustrating.
I think if you ban Diabolsis, the deck becomes
fairer.
Yeah, it becomes what I would actually consider to be like a really fucking great deck, like as in like a foot. You know what? Maybe I'm just too. I didn't even know where I'm going. Timothy, talk to us about your thoughts on the format.
I was gonna say, like at the moment, Kashtira reminds me a lot of how Fluundaries was with the barrier statue, and I feel like Diablosis is such a pivotal part to the deck because it provides you with so much. It gives you knowledge. It could potentially kind of like alter your further plays, and I feel like having such an oppressive monster on the field before you've even allowed your opponent to do anything is a bit of an issue. Kind of like akin to what you were saying, Fabs. But I feel like if a Diablosis was addressed, it would force the deck to pivot into something else. Because what other 7 are they going to make, which is having as much impact as Diablosis?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So then that gets me thinking. All right, then if they're not making a Diablosis, they don't know what I'm playing, so they're gonna have to put a bit more of a play up to be a bit more defensive, which then changes the way how they play the deck. Whereas now they just go full zone lock. They don't care. They got knowledge of your deck and they're just locking zones out. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like that needs to be addressed first. and
Yeah.
then we can see what the deck's
Does.
like. A bit like how Flunder just used to play with the barrier statue, basically. And just
And
find
Flunder's
itself
still
in the
good.
turn.
That's the thing as well. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
It's still
It's
a
still
very
good.
good deck. Yeah, but then okay, so we know Kashtira. I think it's safe to say Kashtira is essentially the best deck. But what decks do we think are like kind of sitting below it? And actually, I'm gonna caveat this with: so we know Kashtira is at the top, and we know Branded, Labyrinth, and Sprite are really good. What are some decks that we think are in the format and are very relevant, but aren't necessarily one of those top 4?
I'm gonna go out in the women's say Naturia Runic.
That's a good
Fair.
one.
I like that one.
It's
Yeah,
a good shout.
pretty good
Yeah.
It's a
deck.
good
Yeah.
shout.
Obviously, Runic's the utility of that deck is just silly.
It's insane, man.
Nothing in it.
I
Nothing.
feel like skipping your battle phase for your next turn is just like, yeah, whatever. Like, you're gonna have 10 cards out of your deck that are in the banish mode anyway. And then obviously, yeah, the Naturia cards are quite difficult to deal with, especially in that beast. So
That synergy is so funny because Naturia was never killing you anyway. So it's like, like now they just get free advantage off Runic. It was mad.
Yeah. What about you, Winter? What are you thinking?
I mean, I think outside of the top decks, I think the Tri-Brigade Leerlust deck is pretty decent. And I also think like Sword Soul is a halfway decent pick that I've seen a lot of success at locals, like people playing that. And even Tier, like I know my good friend Dan, like he didn't give up the goat just yet. As soon as the ban list dropped, he messed around with the Tier deck a little bit and like played the Tierleman's Cashier. So I think those decks are still pretty decent. I know my friend Dalen and my friend Joe, they both play the Tri-Brigade Leerlust deck, and they're all both pretty good with them. They do consistently very well with those decks. And I think my friend Joe actually I think he got 10th place at the Toronto Regional, playing Tri-Brigade Leerlust, and even more recently, 3 friends of mine, they went to the 3B3 YCS in Vegas, and they got 20th place, I think. And my friend Sheen was playing Generator. My friend Johnny was playing Scareclaw Adventurer Kashtira. And my friend Dalen was playing Tri-Brigade Leerlust, which he topped nationals with the year prior. So I think I'd include all of those decks into the fray. Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I really agree. Tier is insane still. Like the funny thing, I think it's just like it gets hit and then everyone just dropped it, but Tier's still nutty, man.
Still slaps. It still kind of slaps. Not gonna lie.
Yeah. And they've got support obviously because of the Kashtira stuff. So like they've got more Tier cards to play with.
No more cards. Fuck it. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the one deck that really sticks out to me that we're going to see doing bits is Trap Tricks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, me and Fabs were talking about this before we started recording. Like, we've both been playing Trap Tricks, like, since the structure deck. Deck is fucking insane. Like, but Sarah in it, like, it's probably the best Link one I've ever read.
Sarah is Marionetta plus Multifaker in a Link
How
one.
nuts is that? How insane is
insane.
that?
Yeah.
And the thing I like about Trap Tricks as well is the fact that it is technically a back row deck, but you can send all your traps off Rafflesia anyway, so it doesn't. It's a bit different. You know what I mean? You're not going to get cooked by a Feather Duster, like as much. Like you will a bit. That's not lie. But other than that, yeah, I think I'd have to probably go with all the ones you guys have said plus Plunder Patrol. Plunder Patrol's been popping off a little bit from what I've seen, and it seems like a deck that will really, really reward a pilot that sticks with it. And I've always got a lot of time for decks like that. So yeah, that's my 2 cents. Yeah. What about you, Fabs?
Yeah, I was gonna heavily agree with you on the Plunder one as well. Like, Jord, like when Jord was announced, everyone was like, every place Plunder was like, "Wow, this is epic." And yeah, I think Plunder is definitely a really, really good one. I've been playing quite a few decks. I can't lie. I would say that the Ignista deck is quite good right now, just because Arrival's still a card. If you summon Arrival, it's just hard for a lot of decks right now to deal with it. So, I've been doing it on DB. Summon Arrival. Have you gotten out? Guess you lose then. And then, it's a bit of a wrap. Similarly, I also think that Mathmech in the reverse way, even though Mathmech doesn't really play like Ignista, I would say a Mathmech Circular was always really good, and Bestials is what pushed out the format. Like before we got into just before tier format, and it was the format before Bestials came out. What was that? Is that before Pope? Pre-Pope, right? There was like a month or two before Pope, basically, where it was like
Tier was still around. Tier and Sprite were there, but Tier hadn't got Rukolos yet. Bystials weren't around. Blah blah.
Oh, it was like post Pope, pre Dabble.
Yeah, sorry, that was it. Yeah, and in that period, like MathMech was popping off, similar to Drytron as well. Yeah, and then obviously Bystials came out and it just really wrecked the entirety of MathMech. And I think MathMech, for a similar reason to Ignis, to just play 15 hand traps and then Circular as a custom card. Like,
it really is.
Circular
It's insane.
It's
insane. So, you just reminded me, Fabs, talking about your escapades summoning big towers monsters online. Winter, you're someone who like you said, like obviously with the streaming and stuff like that, and a lot of your channel has a lot of online Yu-Gi-Oh based in it, as well as obviously your local series and things like that. Are there any like online stories that kind of stick out, like any like insane DB games or anything like that, or any times that you've just been like, it's just been, wow, this has just been an absolute slog of a match? Like anything that sticks out in your mind, or like, well, I'll put it to the table, innit?
Any specific online moments that I remember? There's probably some. I mean, I've definitely had my fair share of arguing with people on DB, and maybe getting a little too into it instead of just disconnecting and leaving it be.
Yeah.
I've probably had, and on stream too. That's the one thing about like streaming. Like I've streamed a little bit of Dueling Book rated. And I had to stop mainly because DB is so like hands-on, like you have to, everything is all manually, which I like. Like there's a time and a place for being able to manually do everything. But I just found that like trying to pay attention to the stream, having to type into the chat to talk to my opponent to explain everything that was going on, like it just often like led to too many misplays and misclicks and miscommunication between my opponent, and like it just, the two things weren't mixing well. So I had to like stream online and like move to YG Omega. Before Dueling Book I was on like EDO Pro and YGO Pro, and those have always just worked better. And on those online platforms, like I've definitely had my fair share of really good games on there before, but there's nothing really I can think of outside that's like off the top of my head from those specific online matches that stands out right now. I'm sure if I took more time to dwell on it, I probably could think of something, but I can't really think of anything right now off the top of my head, unfortunately.
I've definitely been in a situation where I've took some abuse. I think I was playing against somebody. I was on EDO Pro and I was playing against Virtual World. I was playing Malphys just for a laugh, and I think like I summoned Black Rose on his turn, and he just called me an idiot and just left the game.
Classic, yeah.
Because like I think he was like mid combo. He had like four monsters on field, as well as forgot the name of the trap that pops. He had that face up, and I just wiped his field. And he just proceeded to give me abuse and just leave. Like I don't know if it was like the end of his combo, but like that kind of stuck out because I was just messing around, and I think he was practicing for locals. And I went into the game and it said meta only, and then I turned up with Malphys, didn't I? So
love that.
To play, so it's on him, innit?
Love that.
But I the thing is, I would like to say that DB is a little bit better than it used to be. I don't know if it's just me. I feel like before, one of the reasons why I wouldn't touch DB at all is because I just felt like you go into it and then you know you're going to be, if there's no judges online, don't play. Basically, you're going to be stuck in nonsense. I think it is better now. Like I think it's not as terrible. Edo Pro, I mean, I don't take those games seriously anyway. Like, yeah,
I don't think anyone does.
Yeah, but DB, I think it's better. But funnily enough, YGO Omega, I downloaded it, but I never played it. So, other than Winter, has anyone else played YGO Omega, or was it just Winter? So,
yeah, I played it a little bit.
Okay, so for
Yeah,
you, I was going to say, for you two guys who have played it, what's your opinions of it? Because I've never tried it.
I mean, I like automated simulators. Like I would have been so on board with Master Duel had they just implemented the option to play TCG format and OCG format instead of their fairy tale format they have. And like, I get people like it, but as somebody who's played the paper TCG for that many years, I didn't want to like seeing like Max C, like when it first launched, like Max C was legal, fucking Vanity's Emptiness, like Calamities, like all these fucking whack cards. Is like I just Don't
Yeah.
want a part of this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if they would have had the option for that, I'd been like, cool, I'll run this for a while. But like Omega was like that. It had the animations, the automation, and it has a ranked ladder too, which is what like EDO Pro and YGO Pro are missing. So there's like a competitive aspect to it that like makes you feel like the games that you're playing online actually like lead to something, actually have some like meaning to them.
Mhm.
So that I think that's what draws it to me the most. Like it's like the best of like Master Duel and Dueling Book. Like you can play the formats you want to play, you can play competitively. There's a ranked ladder, there's good animations, etc., etc. So that's what I like the most about it.
Yeah, they dropped the flipping ball, Master Joe. I don't know what they were thinking. I
it's just
don't know.
not-
I was talking to a friend about this before I came on the podcast, funnily enough, because he's someone who's been playing the TCG for, I want to say, around 6 months, and he was playing Master Duel, and he was like, it's so jarring going from playing Master Duel to the TCG, like then you go back to Master Duel, you get Maxed and like
Yeah.
VFD'd and all that shit that you were saying, Winter. It's like. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like you're either a Master Duel player or a TCG player, right?
Yeah, I could kind of get behind that. I definitely do see some people like hybrid it, like on Twitch occasionally. I know like I'll see like Pack or like Nim stream like one or the other that much, and I'm like, good for you, because it's like this is not my cup of tea. And I know from what I understand, like the Master Duel content does pretty good sometimes, which you know it is what it is. Like I kind of have to miss out on that, but like it's not, in my opinion, worth the trade off to like dread making Master Duel content and just have it be so like, like I gotta play Master Duel to make a video. Like I just don't want to hate the video that I'm making, like the process.
Yeah, I
of
get
it.
you. I get you.
Yeah,
Or
I'm
go
100%. Oh gosh, I can't imagine playing Master Duel for more than a day. Get vaccine. When it first started, get VFD. Oh my days! What the heck?
Fuck that, man.
Yeah.
I
But
feel like
Jimmy,
there's a lot of anime moments in like Master Duel,
Yeah.
and I think that's what people are drawn to. But for most of the player base, they just can't take it seriously because of the ban list, basically.
Yeah, and
but
the
I
best
think
of
with-
ones too. Fuck that.
I will say, on the ban list, the way they handle the Master Duel ban list, why don't they handle the TCG ban lists like that?
Yeah,
Yes, absolutely. They get like 3 ban lists before we get one. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Like that, actually, for the most part, it's like, yeah, okay, yeah, this is pretty on the money. Like,
Yeah.
I imagine anyway. So
you
everyone
know-
tells me they're good. So.
do you know what's annoying about that as well? Because that tells us that means like they can do it. they can do it
Yeah,
properly.
they're
They're just,
capable. They have working brains.
yeah, they're just choosing not to. And it's like, what, Konami? Like, what's going on? Like, stop.
Like us TCG players are the reason you have Master Duel. We've
Oh
been
my
funding
gosh.
your projects since the early 2000s. Like, throw us a fucking bone here.
Literally.
Yeah, right.
Oh my gosh, I don't know. Master Duel's just yeah.
It's a bit-
I,
it's a bit-
I remember I played the first format. I was playing Virtual World. I was just making VFD a lot, and then I just like, yeah, this is not for me. That's
Yeah,
not for me.
just
Guys. I'm not going
Snooze
back.
fest.
Can't
Yeah.
wait for them like to get a Shizu to you.
you just sit there and rub your hands.
Yeah,
Yeah, we've had that turn in it. You'll go now.
I was gonna say, shout out to One Boy's Heart. He because obviously Master Duel is behind us, and he plays pretty much exclusively Master Duel. And it was even the same thing when DP came out, because obviously he had been hearing a lot about DP, but he didn't know. And then it's like, and Flunder as well. He had been hearing a lot about DP and Flunder. And then like a few months after, and obviously like, it wasn't an issue for us anymore. And he was just like, you know what, Simeon? I hate these cards. I really hate Flunder. I really hate DP. I
Yeah.
was like, welcome to the club, bro. I don't know if they've got Runic kit. Have they got Runic kit at Master Duel?
Yeah, they got Runic. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think that was a
Yeah,
relatively
they've limited a
easy-
mana and semi-limited a load of the spells.
Yeah. Oh my
Because
gosh.
that does something, I guess.
Oh, actually, yeah, I do remember that. Yeah, I remember seeing that on the list. Yeah, they put all of them to 2. Yeah. All the
some
good
reason.
ones to 2 anyway. So like now you have to play the crappy ones as well, I guess.
Wait, they put all the like good runic cards to 2?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I
The quick
guess
plays.
it's a hit, right? Like I guess it affects the deck.
They love their semi limits on that
They do.
platform.
They do it.
Mind-boggling.
Yeah.
Like Gamma is like semi limited, and then Maxi's at 3. Like, do they think Gamma is better than Maxi? Like, what fucking world are we living in here, guys? Come on.
That's what the OCG did too, right? They semi-limited Gamma, and it's like, oh, okay.
And like beginning of the end was at 2 or something. Like, it's just like
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't think someone's ever gammoned me, and I've been like, oh, damn. Gosh,
Yeah.
it's not fair.
They should have put it to 1. Damn it.
Yeah, what's got legal? Like,
Yeah, it's just kind of like, oh, Gamma, like, But guys, we are coming up on the hour mark, so we're gonna hit our last topic, which is the Am I the Arsehole section. So, winner, are you familiar with the Am I the Arsehole subreddit on Reddit?
I can say that I am not. I'm
Okay.
not familiar.
So essentially, people write in these stories, and then they basically ask us if we think they're an asshole or not for what they did. So,
Not us specifically. We don't have
but
that
yeah.
much power.
Yeah, not us. It was created directly for us. This is but so the title of this is "Am I the Arsehole for telling my girlfriend she needs to be polite and ruining her mood before an interview?" So I'm going to go into the story. My girlfriend recently bought some clothes and ordered them to my house. I was planning to take them to her the next time I go and meet her. She lives in another country, so I fly there often. Since it was a lot of clothes, I told her it's going to take up most of my suitcase. I suggested that I would wear one of the jackets inside my big winter coat, and that way I would save some space. I sent her a picture of me wearing her new jacket, and she responded in a very weird tone. She said, "Please don't wear my clothes. Thank you. I don't like it when other people wear my clothes." She sent this via text, by the way. I think this tone is a bit weird and rude. We've been together for a while, but sometimes she treats me like a stranger. I also flipped out a bit and told her she's acting weird and that these little quirks of hers are going to make it very hard to live with her. We had a big argument, and now I'm doubting the entire relationship because I said it's going to be hard to live with her. Am I the arsehole? What do we
Do you know what's funny about that? It seemed fairly innocuous, and then it just spiraled out of control.
It kinda went uphill with,
Escalated quickly, didn't it?
Yeah.
Oh,
Ah, man.
Yeah. Yeah, this is I thought this was an interesting one. That was a very
this is
interesting
a
one.
head scratcher.
Okay.
Yeah.
What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lay my opinion first while you guys have your thoughts.
Yeah, go on.
And so,
Go through.
in my opinion, he is not the arsehole. I think that his girlfriend is more the arsehole than him. But I think there's two things for me. I think the first thing is that I get now the tone of voice and what she said. I understand what he means where she's like, "Please don't wear my clothes. Thank you. I don't like it when other people wear my clothes." It's polite, but that's not how I would talk to my partner. It's very kind of, this, and it's like, it's okay if you have boundaries and such, but I feel like it's a bit strong.
One thing I'd say though is she said this over text, right? It can be
Yeah.
kind of hard to gauge the tone of a text.
Which is true. However, that leads into my second point, which is even if she was trying to be nice about it, he's literally flying her clothes over. She orders clothes to his house, and he's flying the clothes over.
That's
There's no
very weird.
Yeah, I mean, whatever the reason for it, I don't know if.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
But it's like, and so I think if he decides to wear your clothes and like do a bit of a joke and take a picture,
Wait, it doesn't seem like he's going on the flight in a dress. Like he just put on a jacket.
it's a jacket.
Like
Yeah.
Most jackets are relatively unisex nowadays, anyway. So what's the big deal?
Yeah. So that's why I think
Yeah.
she's the asshole more than him.
I would have to agree with you there, Babs, 100%. Like, he's
Yeah.
already going through the hassle of flying
Yeah.
all these clothes over there when he probably doesn't have to. He could have mailed them if he really wanted to.
Yeah.
And you're going to get upset over him wearing a jacket. Like, he's going to ruin the jacket by wearing it or something.
Where does the job interview part come into it?
I don't know.
So she had an interview the next day, and so they had this argument before the interview, and so she was
Oh.
like, "You ruined my mood before the interview," which I kind of tiny bit understand that her perspective on that, but it's just not. It's like get over it, overcome. You have to, yeah.
Yeah.
I've thought about this now for
Yeah.
a good minute and a half, and I'm thinking I probably would have said, "Come and meet me at the airport," and it would have just been a suitcase full of her clothes there,
Yeah.
and I'd be at home still because
You
Yeah.
no way.
Have to pattern that
There's no
behavior.
way- Yeah, there's no way that I'm tolerating that, especially the lengths that I've gone to bring your clothes to you in another country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's not down the road. She's in another country.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
fly solo, get there, and then have you in a mood with me because I tried your jacket on for a joke. And there's a problem with it.
But I'd probably send I'd
See
send a
that.
passive aggressive text back like, "Please order clothes to your own house in the future. Thank you." Like that's the kind of
Yeah.
thing that I'd want to do.
Buy clothes
You-
wherever
you
you're
know
at.
what? Yeah, he's not an arsehole in no way.
Yeah.
She's. I'm not sure if she's an arsehole, but she definitely acted like one
She
there.
took it far in it. A lot further than it should have been.
She deeped it, man.
Yeah.
Like, fucking get over it, man. Do you know what? Like, Who
Yeah,
cares?
you're not that special, right? Like
Mhm.
Yeah.
they're just clothes. They're just fucking clothes. That's it.
Yeah. Also,
Ain't
like
that deep.
if you're that like OCD about who is in contact with your clothes, why are they not being shipped to you?
Again, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like if you have that much of a problem, alright, that's calm. Do it in your own house, then. Be like that's not my
Yeah.
job.
Nah, he's not an asshole, bro. Like, stay strong, King. Stay strong. Plenty more fish in the sea.
You're a king. You
I
drop
think it's
this.
funny
You're your
that
crown.
It's spiraled into an argument about whether or not they should be together. Like that's the
Yeah.
The
craziest-
one thing I will say though is we don't know the full context of the argument, so we don't know who was said by what. But on the
Yeah.
information that we've been given,
Yeah.
nah, you're no arsehole, bro. You're no arsehole.
Yeah, he's a bit of a joker, but that's about
I
it.
almost-
To be honest.
Yeah, he's-
I almost feel
he's
bad
a bit
for
of a
the guy.
bit of a funny guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Feel bad for a
I feel
minute.
bad
Yeah. Yeah.
I also think maybe he's a little stupid getting roped into being her personal clothes courier
Maybe
across country. Like I don't know. Like how do you
you're
get
a
roped
bit
into doing
arsehole,
that?
bro, but you do seem like a bit of a simp.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. exactly.
Yeah, he seems like a victim. That's
Yeah,
he seems like a victim.
Yeah.
He's not the arsehole, but I would have just sent the clothes and went to locals, man. Just put it that way.
Yeah. Strong words.
We got time with this.
Strong words.
But
Yeah,
guys,
shit,
on that
yeah,
note,
have to deal with it.
on that note, we're gonna wrap up episode 27 of the Yu-Gi-Oh show. Thank you all for watching. This has been a very, very, very awesome episode. And Winter, have you got any shout-outs or anything you want to say for the show?
Shout out to you guys first and foremost for having me on again. I appreciate it.
course.
Very fun. Always enjoy it. Shout out to Buffalo Yu-Gi-Oh. Shout out to Heart of the Game. Shout out to OTS at Joe's. And shout out to I think that's really it, honestly. That's it. Yeah.
Loving it. Yeah. So guys, we'll see you back on again every Saturday. Oh no! Before I end, last thing. Look, so there are, I think, at the last time I checked, probably about 70 people who listen to this regularly. Now, if you're someone who listens to this show regularly, I love you. You're awesome. But if you've got to this point in the show, there are 4 channels you need to subscribe to, and a Twitter you need to follow. So
Yeah, we got a Twitter. I forgot to mention
Yeah.
we got a Twitter. Follow it. It's in the description.
at the Yu-Gi-Oh Show Pod in the description, you need to follow that. You need to subscribe to my channel, Fabs. You need to subscribe to Sanctum Squad. You need to subscribe to Jimothy YGO, and you need to subscribe to Winter Kills. If you're at this stage and you don't do those things, bro, you're playing yourself, man. Look, you like us clearly.
We've already had your hour of time in it.
Yeah, so look, it helps us out, so make sure you do it. Yeah, but yeah, on that note, guys, we will see you guys next week. Peace.
Peace.